I know the lighting's crazy, but I have something that can't wait. I want to work on a book with you. I want to literally plot a book live with you on live streams, very, very similar to what I did in the past with my critique partner Bethany here and the Save the Cat experiment. I'm telling you, it was extremely cool. Like, I am beyond excited for this. I actually went back and watched the first live stream, which they're all still live. I'll link them below if you're curious and you want to check them out, because there is a billion amazing ideas by so many different fantastic writers. Like, I don't even have words for how fun this is going to be, and terrifying, because we're going to plot an entire book live. Yeah, but let me tell you my crazy plan and why I'm coming to you like late at night when I should be going to bed. Okay, so book idea. Are you ready for this? It is Atazadeh meets Friends. And this is like kind of a Beauty and the Beast retelling, because I do want to keep it like on brand for me as an author and do retelling style. Potentially cozy fantasy, if you've heard of that. It's kind of this genre that's coming out, but I also really like what people are calling romantasy, a really heavily romantic fantasy. I would do like a sweet fantasy romance. I don't know, but I can't get this idea out of my head for like Friends, the TV show. Like, picture the 6 characters and the more lighthearted and humor in that cozy vibe. Like, picture Friends, the TV show, but with Fae. Because Atazadeh and the Fae and the bad boys, as people like to call them. Okay, so let's get comfy and talk about this. I'm going to be using Save the Cat Writes a Young Adult Novel as like my primary outlining tool, and this is fun because I'm actually reading through this right now. So I am enjoying how Jessica Brody elaborated on the beats. They're obviously the same beats. If you have the other Save the Cat books, don't feel like you're missing out that much, but she does go into more detail on things like writing a series and on what if you have multiple points of view? What if you have a prologue? What if you have a flashback? What if it's a villain story? How do you do backstories? What else? Catalysts that come on the first page. So there's definitely some stuff in here that I'm excited to learn, and I am going to read as we go through the month of October. And then, of course, there's 10 different YA novels that she breaks down the way that she did with other novels in the other Save the Cat book. But it has been a while, honestly, since I went through the beats. I've actually been reading this now, and I've been utilizing it for The Secret Curse, and it's been helping a ton. But unlike the last, Save the Cat writing experiment, I'm actually going to be referencing other books as well. One of the biggest ones is going to be Seven Figure Fiction. If you haven't read it before, I talked about it a lot in this video. I will link it below. Another book I've read in the past, it's been a little while, was Romancing the Beat, and this is a way to specifically bring romance into the beat sheet, into the outlining process. And then I will likely also order another one of these novel planners that I created in the past to specifically use as kind of a place to hold all the story information as well as my drafting. If you're interested, I will link all these resources below. And then I also have this fun fairies book I picked up once a long time ago that we might have fun playing with, just to see if it gives us any fun ideas, and it can help us maybe decide what aspects that our fae should have. And last but not least, I will also link Abby Emmons' outlining playlist below, because I got so much out of that as well. And so we're gonna do kind of a mixture of all of these things, but just so you know, none of this is like required to purchase unless you want to. And if you were gonna pick just one thing, I would say one of the Save the Cat novels would probably be the most helpful. And I would also really recommend Seven Figure Fiction. I got a lot out of this book. But if you're interested in these books, I will link them all below. So anyway, back to the video. I am jokingly calling this book idea my butter book, because Theodora Taylor talks a lot about how, like, for example, if you have some bland food, add butter and it tastes so much better, and you can pretty much add butter to anything. And she's like, so in a similar way, these universal fantasies and also tropes are like butter that make your book taste better and make it so delicious and yummy. So like, when I say a butter book, I mean it's gonna have so many good tropes, so many like universal fantasies that you guys are excited about. And I actually want to do a survey for that before I get started. So I'm kind of jumping ahead into the timeline here. I'm not going to start the very 1st of October, even though a lot of writers start plotting in October in preparation for NaNoWriMo in November. If you don't know what that is, I'll link that below too. You can check it out. But I just thought this is the perfect month for plotting. So jumping into goals, I really want to obviously plot a book myself and have fun, but I also want it to be inspirational to you. And I want it to be something that can help you with your plotting, with your creativity, give you ideas. Just bringing in all these other writers to brainstorm together can help us come up with incredibly cool things. I can be like, do you like this? oh, you don't like it? Okay, cool. They'll scrap that. Or like, oh, you do like this? Oh, I should do more. Like, you know, it's really gonna be a very valuable experiment. It's gonna be so crazy cool. And I should probably do a quick caveat, is that how you say that? Where I obviously have preferences, just like any other reader and writer. So like, for example, I love triangles. Not everybody does. So I am gonna try to like veer away from things that, you know, like that most people don't like. But if I am gravitating towards something, like I personally think it'd be really fun to write more romance. So that's going to be my focus, is like, ooh, how can we add in more romance? I'm not a spicy romance author, so I'm not going to go that direction. So things like that, I just want to be super upfront with you that I'm going to try to take as much feedback from you as possible and implement all your ideas. And I want this to be really like, I guess, crowdsourced and fun for all of us to be like, we all got to participate in this. But when it comes down to decision making, I'm obviously going to go with my gut. And I hope that's okay, because I know that's what you will do. And I want to actually be an example for you of being an author who writes what I'm passionate about. Because I personally believe that if we write for other people instead of for ourselves, it's going to take all the joy out of writing. And it's going to be very clear in that book. If a reader reads it, it's just going to lack that extra element, that something that makes it you. And so that's what I'm all about, is just, I'm not here to teach writing because I am still learning myself, but I want to demonstrate it. And then also I think we can collaborate with each other and all teach each other new things and help each other brainstorm and get motivated and get excited about our books. Anyway, I could ramble forever, but let's get into the dates and the calendar. I made this awesome chart here. I'm going to flash it on the screen and walk you through it really quick, because very first Saturday in October, October 7th, we're actually going to outline the entire book together. I know, it's a little bit terrifying, I'm not gonna lie. So when Brittany and I did this writing experiment, we actually spanned 10 weeks. So we did much smaller chunks of the novel, and it was still a lot. But the reason that, after thinking it through, I was like, well, if we start with the first like 25% or something, I won't know where it's going. And I need to know that. I just need a big overarching picture. So in Save the Cat, in both versions that Jessica Brody wrote, there's a creating your story-worthy hero section, which is extremely important. So I think we're going to start there, and I'm just going to show you a little sneak peek. We're going to look at the problem, the want, and the need, and really nail those down. I'm just going to pause though and say that I will not be revealing the entire book in these live streams. So if you want to understand what I'm talking about a lot of the time and follow along and understand fully everything, I would definitely recommend getting this book or the original Save the Cat Writes a Novel by Jessica Brody, because both of them are extremely helpful. And then it's kind of like we're doing a little book club too, which I love. But I am going to use this to figure out like my character's goals, what's standing in their way. And then I love this addition to the new Save the Cat book, because more heroes, more problems means like, let's actually get to know some of the other characters. And I think I really like the way that Friends has 6 characters. So if I'm feeling brave, I think we're gonna go with 6. Not like all 6 are the main character. I think there will be still one main character, but what I'm picturing is like the Rachel / Feyre character is probably going to be the main character, and then there's going to be like a Ross / Rhysand love interest. I never know if I'm saying his name right. It's going to be so good. In the live stream, I will share more with you about the little bits that have come to me so far, as I've just been thinking about it in my spare time. Then I think we'll work on these foundation beats, because it's a little bit less. The catalyst, break into 2, midpoint, all is lost, and break into 3. And just see if we can nail some of those things down in that first live stream. I probably should have said this a little bit sooner, but these live streams are going to be taking place during my little guy's nap time specifically. So that'll be 12 p.m. Central Standard Time is what I'm hoping to start all of these live streams, just because that's my work time. That's all I have. And so I understand that not everybody will be able to make it, and I hope that you'll be able to catch the replays. And if you hit that bell icon below my videos, that will actually set you up to get alerts from YouTube about whenever I do go live, in case the times and dates change. Like say I end up going live a little bit later, or I end up doing an extra live one day because I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to keep planning with you guys. Or I end up switching to evenings if that's better for you guys, and I can figure out help to do that, then I will. But anyway, back to the very next day, we're going to do our second live stream and plot the entire first 25% of the story. So that's opening image, theme, setup, catalyst, and debate, which is a lot. It's a lot. However, it's really, really fun. I have some things percolating already, so hopefully I'll be able to kind of kick us off. I usually have catalysts that come to me first. So as I'm picturing these characters, I have an idea that might work for the catalyst, and I'm excited to share that when we get to that live stream. The next week, we will do our third live stream and plot the break into 2, which is getting into Act 2, the B story character, fun and games, and the midpoint. And then the week after that, our fourth live stream, we will plot the bad guys close in, all is lost, and Dark Night of the Soul. I actually intentionally did less beats for this live stream because this is where I personally struggle. You never know, we might do well, but this will give us a chance to catch up if we need to, if we're like, okay, we are still figuring out the midpoint or whatever. We have a few less beats to handle here. And then the very last week of October, we will do the 5th and final live stream where we will plot the break into 3, 5-point finale, and the final image. And I mentioned this already, but I might, maybe, write the book as we go. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Writing a book in a month is something people do. It's called NaNoWriMo. Again, National Novel Writing Month. It usually happens in November. But of course, I will need to come back to The Secret Curse in November because that is my priority. That book is on pre-order for January 26th. It's doing so well. It's such a juicy story. It's going to wrap up this trilogy, and I want to make sure it's the best it can possibly be. So I decided to share with you guys that I want to write this butter book, obsession book, whatever, but I may not. I may have to prioritize The Secret Curse instead. And so I'm just gonna put that out there. That means that I will either way be working very, very hard on a book in November. I love the writing energy in November. So we have tentatively every Saturday in November a live stream, also on Saturdays, also at the same time, roughly 12 to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time for writing/editing sprints if you want to join me for those. So it is gonna be 2 months of live streams essentially. I just wanted to warn you, give you a heads up. We might intersperse some videos like this, or we might not. We'll see what happens, but I really hope you'll join me on plotting this story because it's going to be so fun. I'll put a link below with a very specific survey about the butter book, as we're calling it now, I guess, with some very specific questions on what tropes you would want to see, what names you might enjoy for a character, so that I can maybe like start with a name, maybe, and some other fun questions like that, so that you can actually vote ahead of time and you can see which things that I choose right out of the gate. It's gonna be super fun. I won't make it crazy long or anything, and obviously you can just vote on the ones you're interested in as well, but make sure you go and vote. I will also be sending out email updates specifically about this butter book, about things that are decided, about things where I need your help. So if you don't want to miss that, and if you want to be in the loop on the decisions that are made, then definitely sign up for my newsletter so that you're in the loop for all the good stuff. Okay, last but not least, Bethany, why are you doing the entire plot and sharing it with people? Are you crazy? I know people usually worry that they're gonna get stolen, so let's talk about that really, really fast. Number 1, the idea might not be worth stealing. Number 2, no one ever stole our last idea. We did the Save the Cat experiment and plotted an entire book with tons of juicy ideas back in 2020, and I've never seen that book come out. I mean, maybe it did, but I don't know. Number 3, I will literally be writing this, hopefully, as we go, and potentially editing in November, depending on how The Secret Curse goes. So I might probably, very likely, come out with this book faster than anybody else would. But number 4, nobody can write like you can. So even if somebody did come out with that book, like for example, the book that Bethany and I plotted back in 2020, I probably wouldn't recognize it because our book was so different, and the way that we would write it is so different, and the way that I write is so different from anybody else that even if they're very, very similar, they're probably going to look like 2 totally different stories. And number 5, probably the most important one, the one that's hopefully the most reassuring to you if you've also like talked about your story ideas and you are like, oh my gosh, what if somebody steals them, or what if it's copied, is your work is copyrighted from the moment that you start it. At least in the US, copyright is basically the moment you write something down, which I will be doing as we plot, it's copyrighted. And that's literally how the US copyright works. So if you didn't know that, when people say they file a copyright, it's literally just the legal filing. But this video that we're gonna do together will also be very much proof. So that's my copyright, and I'm not honestly that worried about it. But I just thought of another reason. Number, what are we on? 6 now? The story might actually change from when we plot it to the writing, to the editing, to the publishing. Books don't look the same from start to finish. Like whatever we come up with in plotting is going to change a lot naturally over time. This is how it works, right? And I could probably come up with more reasons, but I guess the last one is that I am kind of a risk taker and it doesn't bother me. And it's okay if it feels weird to you. I understand, but I'm going for it. Let's do this. Are you excited? I wish it was happening now. Comment below to let me know if you're excited. Let me know if you're gonna be there. Ring the notification bell, because honestly, that is gonna be what you need to get alerts from YouTube if I'm going live. I'll try to also do like a heads up on my Instagram. If you're on Instagram and follow me there, I'll try to make sure I give you guys a little like 1 or 2 days heads up if I'm going to do an extra live or change the date of one of these live streams. I'll try to keep you posted on that as well. Don't forget to potentially get a copy of Save the Cat Writes a Novel or Writes a YA novel. If you're interested in knowing the story beats, again, you don't have to. It'll be a fun little book club, and I honestly found a lot of value in these. I probably should have said this as well. If you're in a different stage than outlining, I think this will still be valuable to you, both the ideas brainstorming together and the outline, because I've used the Save the Cat Writes a Novel for outlining, but I've also used it during drafting, and I've also used it during editing, which is what I'm actually doing right now. So anyway, I better get back to working on The Secret Curse. If you made it to the end of this video, let me know which one you're more excited about. Friends and pulling inspo from that, the TV show, or ACOTAR and pulling inspo from that. And I will see you very soon. Bye. Then all